Mix Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Mix Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Mix Design.
Hey, Hog Fanatics! We at Inside The Hawg Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share that SeatGeek is a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hog Fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code Inside Hawg Pen. Check out our socials for the link and remember to use the code Inside Hawg Pen.
Yeah!
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
This is where the fun begins.
What is up, everybody?
But we've seen this movie before.
What's Sam Pittman known for?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Is the Arkansas athletic program cursed? But you never know what the loudest mouth in the fan base and his wild band of misfits are going to say.
I have a river of Kool-Aid for basketball.
It's time to step inside the Hawg Pen with your host, Razorback Zach and Marcus MC Carlton.
All right, talk to you. We will. Welcome into another edition of Inside the Hawg Pen, presented by Rock City Wraps, bringing you into the Mix Design studio. Do not adjust your sets. You are watching The Bald and the Beautiful tonight. It's your boy MC and Jesse the Beard Thurman in here covering for our boy Zach tonight. Needed a night off, so we told him, it's like, hey, man, sit back, relax, and enjoy it from the viewership side for a change. So how you doing, Jesse?
Doing good. Big win last night. Scary looking in the process, but Ladybacks are kicking tail right now, so it's a good evening.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I've said this before on here, and Nolan Richardson had a great quote one time about ugly wins. Ragged ride is always better than a smooth walk. So it's definitely a ragged ride at times, and at times it kind of felt like the wheels might have been wobbling, about to fall off the wagon, but held it together, and they pulled out a double-digit win. We can talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. But we got football this weekend, Jesse.
Got a big game this weekend.
We do. Big game. It's kind of been the talk this week on some of the radio shows that I listen to inside the state about how, this game, is it still a rivalry? Does it still have the same meaning that it once did? And Sark has made comments that to him it's definitely a rivalry, especially what happened the last time that Texas came to town. And I think he's going to have his guys understand that this is more than just another game. On Arkansas' side, I mean, Pittman's he's made no bones about it, man. He knows the history of this and knows how important it is to the fans. It's just, man, it feels like a tall mountain to climb, man.
It's absolutely still a rivalry, but I don't think the game this week's going to be very indicative of that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Texas is bigger, they're stronger, they're more talented,
yeah,
and I don't like what it's looking like. I'm hoping that the heavens open, the angels sing "Woo Pig Sooie," and
yeah.
we get another thriller. But I'm not going to hold my breath and wait.
We may have to conduct a seance to bring back like the ghost of Frank Broyles and Pat Summerall and some of these other legends from way back when that really had some good luck versus Texas, because I think it's going to take a little bit of everything to make this one competitive. It's just like you said, man, it just feels like we're kind of outmanned in this one a little bit, and they haven't. We were talking about this in pre-show and then in our group chat that we have too. Sark hasn't forgot what happened in 2021. I mean, he's well aware. He remembers. And Texas came in here. I mean, they came in here in 21 and just flat out got embarrassed.
Oh yeah, I had looked at tickets going to that 21 game, and I'm like, nah, I'm just not feeling it this year.
Yeah.
That was still early in the Pittman regime,
Mm-hmm.
and I kicked myself every day for not going. My biggest concern, honestly, MC, is as weak as our secondary's been.
Oh man.
You got a quarterback like Quinn Ewers back there that can spin it, and then you got Isaiah Bond on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
He might make Jordan Watkins' game look amateur.
Yeah, it's kind of cringeworthy when you start thinking about it from that perspective. And Ewers has kind of battled injuries a little bit this season. But the bad thing is, if he goes down, the guy that comes in behind him is just as likely to put up 350 yards as Ewers is.
Dogged on him all along the way.
Yeah, I did too.
Sat there talking to my dad. Nah, he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. He got his chance, and I said, I take back everything I said. I'll take my crows smoked with a side of Wright's barbecue sauce.
Yeah, he was definitely living up to that name that's on the back of his jersey when he got his opportunity. And I mean, I did not expect it. I thought he was a little overhyped. I thought he was good but not great. Like you, I definitely had a plate full of the all-you-can-eat buffet of crow. Because when he got his opportunity, man, he made the most of it, and he looked like a Manning. He was a game changer with his feet, to where his two uncles were more with their arm. But he kind of reminded me of some of the highlights that I've seen of Archie, because Archie was kind of a dual threat before dual threats were a thing, and Arch. When he got his opportunity, man, I mean, he made several big plays with his legs, and then when he got a chance to throw the ball, I mean, it was a beautiful ball. I mean, I have to recognize the talent when you see it, and I feel like this is going to be a really big mountain to climb for Arkansas to stay in the game, and honestly, they need to make this competitive. I don't know how you do it, but after what happened against Ole Miss, you've got to find a way to stay in this game and make it competitive.
Yeah. I honestly, you're not going to hear much complaining from me on the post-game show if it's competitive. Yeah. Because when we get to our staff picks here in a second and I roll that video, you're going to see that no one expects it to be competitive.
Yeah.
Well, one guy expects it to be competitive in our group, but the rest of us just don't see it coming.
No, we were not kind in these staff picks. But I think if you look, if you get and you start looking at picks of guys that are kind of outside of the, the inner circle, I guess is a good way to put it. It's a diplomatic way to say it. I think a lot of people are expecting this one to get out of hand, especially after what Jackson Dart and Jordan Watkins did, because you're going to see a very similar type of attack. Some people even say that Sark is a more creative offensive guy than Lane Kiffin is. I don't know that I would go that far, but if he's in the same, I think they're in the same ballpark, and that's dangerous because he can look at the defense and see the weakness and get ready to expose it.
And right now, our weakness is that secondary.
Yeah.
Right now, Vegas has got it. Texas is a 12-point favorite, over under a 57.5. It looks like easy money to me.
Yeah, may have to go smash some buttons on that one and throw a little wager down, because that feels like free money at the way I'm feeling right now. I don't know. I mean, we've seen crazy things happen when Arkansas and Texas get together. For the most part, it's usually pretty close. I think the last blowout game that I can remember off the top of my head was in Petrino's first year, and they went down to Austin and just got absolutely blitzed.
52-10.
Yeah, just to the point where when he come in for the post game, the first comment Petrino made was, "Man, what a beating."
But you got to think about what that Texas team had too. They were coming 1 or 2 years removed from a national title.
Yeah, that was.
I think Vince Young was still there at the time.
That was a stout team, man. I mean that was one that was one of Mac Brown's better teams. That outside of the Vince Young team that won it all in 2005, that was one of his better teams, and they just Arkansas just walked into a buzzsaw that day, and that was not a very good Arkansas team. I think this team is a little bit better than that team was, but still, I don't see any matchup across the board where I feel like Arkansas has the advantage.
Oh, absolutely. Jumping into the Cam Productions live fan feedback, Loki, wouldn't it be nice if this somehow turned into a trap game?
That would be beautiful.
It would, but had 21 not happened, I think that would be a bigger possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But Sark's going to want revenge, and there's going to be a few players on that Texas sideline that were up here in 21, and any of them guys are telling their teammates, "Hey, man, look, these people hate us. Do not give them a reason to get loud. You don't want to be in that stadium if it gets loud."
Well, and we've always heard, the old adage that 11 a.m. games favor the visiting team anyway. Texas doesn't need any help in this game. So the fact that this one's at 11 is just another piece of the puzzle that's feels kind of stacked against Arkansas. But who knows, man? We'll see. I mean, it could be. I don't know that we'll have anywhere near the crowd that we had for the 21 game. One reason in particular is because that was a night game, so everybody had all day to get the pregame on and get ready for that. And at that point, I think it had been the previous game prior to that in 21 was the bowl game, I think, back in 14. Does that sound right? The Texas Bowl? Yeah.
The Brandon Allen Cowboy hat game.
Yeah, the Cowboy hat game. So, I mean, it had been a while, and people, that Texas hate has a way of building up when you go more than 2-3 years without playing. And Arkansas come into that game, they felt like they had something to prove, and I think Texas kind of underestimated them a little bit. That won't happen this time. But I'm struggling, man. I'm trying to find positive things to say about this game, and I can't even sell myself on what I'm saying right here. So,
it's tough on that.
It is. That's gonna be tough.
All right, MC. Let me go ahead and run this video of the staff picks, and we'll talk about them for a few minutes, because there is one in there that we're going to have to address.
Absolutely. There you go. You saw it. Most of the scores there, all with the exception of one. See this one being a poster child for a mercy rule in college football. I can't. My heart wants it to stay close, but my head is telling me that there's just no way, man.
That's how I am now. D-Mad, he's been Swami quite a few times this year.
Yeah.
Zach's not here, so one's to the sky for D-Mad.
Yeah, there you go.
He's picking the Hogs to pull it off 35-30. I can't see it.
I mean, if he pulls this one off after the Swami moments he's had this season, I mean, we're going to have to do something. I don't know. We may have to get the Photoshop out and make him the true Swami, or Zoltar or whatever you want to, whatever fortune teller you want to give him. I may go ask him for some Powerball numbers if he pulls this one off.
I was going to say meet in Pine Bluff and have a team building exercise at Saracen.
There you go. Yeah.
The rest of us, though, Texas by a mile.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me to pick, so I just I went 57. I think 57-26 is what I went,
mm-hmm.
and I based that off some basketball scores and throwing numbers together. So,
well, and I don't know, man. I don't know that. I feel like this one is going to get out of hand about as quickly as the Ole Miss game did. And I hate to be that way. I hate to be that guy, but that's the gut feeling that I have. And I mean, if you've seen me stand up, I've got quite a bit of gut to have a feeling with. So that's where I'm at. Unfortunately, I think 63-17, I think is what I said. So just another absolute beatdown. And I wonder what this will do to the fan morale that is left, because fan morale took a pretty big nosedive after that Ole Miss game. We still got that nasty taste in our mouth because we were off last week. Basketball is helping a little bit with it, but with the way that they're playing, it's not like they're going out and laying 40-point beatdowns on people. So, and some people just don't get into hoops the way that I do, and for some people it's football and football's it. And so their interest is certainly waning, and this is going to sound like an excuse, but you do have rifle season in now for deer hunting, and we always see fan attendance drop a little bit once rifle season gets in. It's just the way this state's built, man. Yeah.
If it was a night game, go hunting that morning, head up to Fayetteville that afternoon, watch the game. Something I heard Ruskin and Zach talking about, and I wanted to get your take on this, MC, is not only are we going to be facing the 11 gentlemen in the ugly orange uniforms, we're also going to be facing the ones in the stripes, because Texas is a playoff contender, and you got
the SEC has a history.
Going to protect them.
They have a history of protected the higher-ranking team who seems to be a lock for the playoff and one of those teams that can make a deep run. So if it is close, you can pretty much guarantee that there will be at least a couple of very questionable, if not downright crooked calls, because the SEC has, like I said, they have a long history of protected the higher-ranking team, and take Arkansas out of the mix with that. I've looked at other games over the past few years. There were many times against Tennessee or against Ole Miss or against South Carolina that Alabama got protection when they were the bell cow that was going to go and make the deep run and have the shot at winning the national title. And so since Texas is in that position now, they will get the benefit of the doubt on a lot of stuff.
Dan Yoakum, need to run the buses at halftime. I had to walk 2 miles to my truck at the Ole Miss game.
Well,
they might start running them at the end of the first quarter.
Depending on where you park, Dan, at least you were getting to walk downhill instead of having to walk uphill to the stadium like I usually do from where we park. So, but yeah, I think this one, man, it may be a ghost town in there by the end of the third quarter. I'm not looking forward to this game at all because I'm that convinced that it's going to be a beatdown, and I don't mean to bring everybody down, but I mean, let's face it, this is a playoff team that we're facing. They've got bigger things on the board. Loki kind of brought this up about potentially being a trap game. I think that's the big hope you've got to have, is that they're looking past this game, and I just don't think Sark is going to let that happen again.
I don't think he is either. Not after the embarrassment of 21, and that led to us having a great season, and Texas having a not so great season that year.
Yeah, I think they ended up 5-7 that year, I believe.
No, I don't even think they made a bowl game that year. I think you're right.
Yeah.
As we're wrapping up football, MC, let's touch on the playoff committee release from this week. What's your 2 cents on what the playoff committee had to say?
Well, let me say I'm oh boy. Let me figure out how I want to say this. I did not agree with the seedings, I guess is what we're calling them now, or rankings. I didn't agree with it, man. I think I would have had Georgia at 12. Is that right?
Had Georgia at 12, first
Yeah.
team out.
Yeah. I think that is ridiculous. I don't see. I don't know, man. I didn't agree with it. Georgia being at 12 was the shocker to me. That one was pretty hard to swallow, and I don't know, man. It just didn't set right with me all the way around. Oregon, obviously, they're fine where they are. I have no problem with that.
Oregon's best team in the country right now.
Yeah, I think everybody's talking about this Oregon-Ohio State game. No, Oregon's to me, Oregon's running away with the best team in the conference. Everybody's talking about, if they meet up again in the Big Ten title game, that Ohio State's going to get them. I don't see it. I don't see Ohio State getting them if they meet again.
No, and you've got too many teams up there, and I understand record accounts for something, but you got to look at who these teams have played.
Yeah, that's my big gripe.
Indiana's a Cinderella story. I'm happy for them.
Yeah,
Signetti's at Indiana now, isn't he?
Yes, he is
doing a great job. But who have they beat?
Yeah,
Texas. Who have they beat?
And Penn State at number 4, really?
There again, who have they beat?
Yeah, well, and I mean, honestly, you could make the same argument for Texas at 3. I mean,
yeah.
And I don't know who
their schedule was kind of rough starting the season off, opening up with Michigan up there. I'm like, man, Texas got a rough schedule. Their schedule's laid out very nicely for them. Their one real matchup, they got embarrassed at home by Georgia, and
first team out, by the way.
Texas A&M game's going to have. That's going to be game of the year in the SEC, I think.
I think
with
so.
The implications on the line.
Yeah, there's just so much on the line with that one, and I'll go outside of the SEC here and look at something that really bothers me. This whole and this has bothered me for a while, but now that we're to the 12-team playoff, it's even bigger. It's time to tell Notre Dame you either get in a conference or you're gonna have to go to 1AA or something. This ain't 1945. There's no reason for them to still be an independent. I mean, they are in the ACC and everything except football, which, I mean, is just absolute crap. Pick a conference, get in it. I don't care if you go Big 10. I don't care if you go Big 12. I don't care if you come to the SEC, which they're not going to do because they don't want that smoke.
No, but not at all.
You can't have – I mean, I just don't agree with them being number 8 when they lost to Northern Illinois earlier this year.
Who's 4 and 5 right now? I think?
4 and 5, I believe. I mean, that's by far their signature win. But you've got them on, and honestly, Notre Dame, was it Navy that they've already beat, and they have yet to play Army, I think is the way it is.
They took Navy out behind the woodshed, and they had a pretty convincing win over Louisville. I don't hate Notre Dame at 8. The one thing I do hate is Boise State at 12 as the wild card for the G5 instead of Army.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is due to the Heisman candidate running back that they have. I think that's why Boise is getting some of the love that they're getting over Army.
And that kind of takes me into what I was getting at with this whole conversation is it's quite obvious this isn't about the best 12 teams. This is about the 12 most profitable teams.
Yeah, or the 12 teams that will probably bring the most ratings, the most TV ratings. Ratings equals dollars. We all know that money is what drives this. But you can't tell me that the nation wouldn't tune in and watch an undefeated Army team in the playoffs here. I mean, to me, that Army-Navy game is still going to be great, but if Army goes through and runs the table and they're undefeated and then they happen to get left out for some reason, I mean, that's just downright criminal.
Oh, if they get left out and Notre Dame gets in after they beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. Which I could honestly see that happening, you know.
I could too. You can't Florida State Army. You can Florida State a lot of teams and get away with it.
Yeah.
Army is not one of them.
No, man. I mean, it feels almost treasonous to do that. But while we're talking about teams in the playoff or in playoff contention, we got to throw some love to Coach Prime, man. Last year people were on him at the beginning of the season. Man, they're up. What are they, 7-2 now? And they were 17th in the poll. But I mean, if you look at it, if they went out and go 10-2, they may be able to sneak their way in. And for him to come off of
there's still a path for them to run the Big 12 and win the championship, and there's no way to keep them out.
Right? Yeah, because they'll get the automatic bid if they happen to win the Big 12, which is not out of the question. I mean, they have really, for all the flack they caught with the, what did he go, 4-8 last year, I think.
4-8. He was same as Pittman last year.
Yeah, 4-8 last year to turn around and be 7-2 at this point with a chance. And they have a good possibility of winning out and finishing the regular season at 10-2, going to the Big 12 championship game. If that happens, I think I'll say this: if that happens, Prime won't be in Colorado next year.
I don't think Prime's going to be in Colorado next year anyway.
He may not be. Yeah.
I think the cards are being laid out for Dallas to become America's team again.
Yeah, with a prime head coach. Yeah.
Prime head coach and a flashy quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the Dak experiment may be about over in Dallas, whether Jerry wants to admit it or not. But I could see Prime making a strong run to finish out here at Colorado this season, and then Jerry tells him it's time to come back to Dallas, and I don't think he's going to turn that down if that happens.
No, he would be crazy to turn that down.
Yeah, but,
I mean, because used to NFL was a worse job than college, but with NIL, portal, and recruiting, I'd rather be an NFL coach all year long. I get time off if I'm an NFL coach.
That's true. Yeah. Well, and once the guys sign their contracts, I mean, you're not constantly having to renegotiate things like you are with NIL right now and worried about, okay, is this dude going to step out, take himself out, kind of like the quarterback at UNLV did, take himself out of the mix, say he's going to redshirt so he can hit the portal. I mean, I'd never thought I would see the day to where the college game became more stressful and more headache-filled than the NFL. Because
another quarterback just did that too. Boston College's quarterback got benched. Yeah. He said, okay, you want to bench me? That's cool. I'm not playing anymore. I'm transferring.
Yeah, and I mean, I could go off on a tangent on that about, taking your ball and going home just because you got benched. I'll save that for like a podcast exclusive.
I was going to say, that's a good idea for a pod.
Yeah, but, it's kind of, the game has just changed, and this is the world that we're in now, and this is unfortunately the hand we've been dealt, so we have to play this hand, and it's only going to get worse from here. So last thing, when we talking playoff here, who's your dark horse in the way the bracket is set up right now?
The way the bracket's set up right now, Lane Kiffin proved something when he came in here.
Yeah. You read my mind. We did not talk about this.
If I remember right, on that bracket, they've got him going up to Happy Valley.
Yeah.
Penn State can't play top-ranked teams. They fall apart
at home.
Time.
No. Yeah. Franklin's record against top 10 teams is not good.
I could see, with the positions, the way they line out right now, I could see Ole Miss making a run.
Well, and like I said, we did not talk about this pre-show, but that's exactly where I was headed with this, because I was talking with a friend of mine who's another big Hog fan, and he made mention when the rankings came out. What was it, Tuesday night? I think when they came out, he sent me a text, and he's like, this Ole Miss football team is starting to remind me of the 2022 baseball team that just caught fire at the right time and wormed their way into a national championship. And I was sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, golly, he's, I think David's onto something here, because they do seem to be kind of putting it together. They've got they beat Georgia. They've got the Egg Bowl and one more game left, and I cannot remember who the other one is, but it's not one
right now.
It's not one that I feel like that they're going to drop. So they have a good chance of winning out, because I feel like the Georgia game was the last one on their schedule that was what you would call a toss-up, and they ended up taking care of business with that.
They got Florida next week.
Okay, yeah. So you got Florida next week. I mean, I don't see that one being a problem for them. And then they finish up with the Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl is always crazy, but I don't – man, they would really have to Amber Heard the bed, as you like to say, to mess that one up. But, I mean, I could see them catching fire, and as much as I hate to say it, just bleh. But, I mean, I felt like the comparison to the 2022 baseball team was fair.
Absolutely. And, yeah, Florida with a third-string quarterback. I hate it for Napier.
Yeah.
I feel like he had turned that team around a little bit this year, and then he just caught really bad luck in a couple weeks.
Yeah, injury bug picked the absolute worst time to hit Florida, because I agree with you. I think he had you could tell that they were kind of starting to believe and to buy into what he was selling. And I mean, dude, they were like this close to having it pay off. I mean, and he just got Arkansas'd. I mean, he just, had that bad luck hit, and unfortunately will it cost him his job? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it looks
They've
like
already
Florida
came out and said they're keeping him, mainly because allegedly their basketball coach is a moron.
Yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with Billy Napier getting the vote of confidence from his AD, but he will be back at Florida next year unless something – that would be a real bad look to come out and support and then turn around and fire him a few weeks later when he's stuck with a third-string quarterback.
Well, and then not only that, but then how much money are you talking about being out by having to go look for a football and a basketball coach at the same time? I mean, because let's face it, unless something crazy happens, this basketball coach at Florida is probably dead man walking.
Yeah, they're just waiting on the investigation to finish up so that they have all their I's crossed and their T's dotted.
Yep, exactly right. And it's those Title IX investigations, man, can get interesting, to say the least. When Title IX gets involved with it, man, the hammer usually swings pretty hard, because that was what ended up taking down Briles at Baylor, was when the Title IX crew got involved in the investigation of everything that was going on, and then that's what took him down. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on this year, because Florida was actually going to be better in hoops. They were, they weren't going to contend for the SEC title, but I think you could put them in that next tier of teams that could play spoiler and still have a good season. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's not great to be a Florida Gator right now.
No, not at all. But with that, MC, let's go ahead and grab us a quick break, and then we'll come back, talk about what everybody wants to talk about. Hog Hoops.
There we go, baby.
We'll be back on Inside the Hog Pen, presented by Rock City Wraps, right after this.
Meeks Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Meeks Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Meeks Design.
Hey, Hog Fanatics! We at Inside the Hog Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share that SeatGeek is a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hog Fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code Inside Hawg Pen. Check out our socials for the link, and remember to use the code Inside Hawg Pen.
Yeah! It's time to step back inside the Hog Pen to the Meeks Design Studios.
And welcome back into the Meeks Design Studio on here on Inside the Hog Pen, presented by Rock City Wraps. It's your boy MC and Jesse the Beard Thurman sitting in for Zach tonight. All right, man, it's time for ring the bell because school's about to be in session. Let's go to the School of Hog Hoops.
We got to get you an intro video for this segment, MC. I got one for Hog Tour. We got to get one put together for you, and
we can figure that out.
I think that'll be a nice little touch. So, how you feeling after last night, MC?
Well, win is a win. Ugly wins count the same as pretty ones, but whoo boy, man, that was something else. That first half, I'm not sure I have seen a rougher first half since the days of Pelfrey. Nothing could go right, man. I mean, you had Thero get out on a break to it looks like it's going to be a for sure slam, and the ball slides out of his hand, goes out of bounds. You have nobody. I mean, you'd have been better. Nobody could hit anything. You'd have been better off putting on a blindfold and throwing a dart at the board than trying to hit a three last night in the first half. And it was just – and what I have noticed about this team is whatever happens to set the tone is contagious. Because if something good happens at the beginning, like we saw at Kansas, like we saw versus Kansas, it's contagious. Everybody's hitting shots, everybody's playing harder, everybody's communicating better. But then if you have a game like last night and you can't find that groove and bad thing happens after bad thing, that's contagious as well. And it's like they just can't. There's not somebody to pull them out of the fire from things going downhill. I mean, and then you go into half, you're actually down one at half. You've shot 18% from three-point range, 30% from the field, period, and you're down one at half. You've turned the ball over. I mean, pretty much anything that could go wrong had gone wrong at this point, and then you come out in the second half, and it doesn't turn around right away. But by that first media timeout, things had kind of turned a little bit, and it's all because of I don't want to call him Connor Vanover, man, but he kind of had that look last night. Big Z coming out and catching fire from three-point range. And as he hits the first couple there, and then as things tend to go along, Troy starts taking some bad shots. Defense gets a little better. We come down. John L. Davis hits a three. And then Thero hits a three. And then Z hits 2 or 3 more. And it's like it's contagious, and Boogie hits one. And then we start forcing turnovers and we get transition points. And it just turns around. But it is so – I mean, these guys are so inconsistent. But I still go back to the fact that they have been thrown together in a 6-month period. None of these guys had really ever played together before. Wagner, Thero, and Big Z. But I don't know, I didn't watch Kentucky that close last year. I don't know how much those guys were on the floor together. They practice together every day, but it's just, not being able to scrimmage and having injuries, and then TB goes down, and that forces Jonas Adu to come in, who was not scheduled to play last night. Chuck said pregame that they, Coach Khaled said that they're not going to see Adu unless it was emergency type situation. Well, emergency type situation happens when TB goes down.
Big
and then
Z
you bring
had 2 fouls, and if you have 2 fouls, you sit the bench under Coach Cal.
Yeah, that's it. That's his rule. You get 2 fouls in the first half, you sit down. But thankfully, whatever got into Big Z, he channeled his inner Dirk Nowitzki and kind of caught fire there in the second half. Ended up 19 points on the game, and then you look down and Thero has 17, 19 points as well. The quietest 17 to 19 points I think I've ever seen. So it's a win. You still got a lot of learning moments to take from it. But from what we've seen so far, this team, at least right now, is one that kind of plays to the level of their competition. They were up for Kansas. I didn't think we played that bad against Baylor. I thought we played pretty well. Still had some shooting struggles. Team. Yeah, I mean they're a top 10. They're an NCAA tournament team. Everybody. I did not understand the public outcry from the national media talking about that was a bad loss. I don't understand how it was a bad loss. They were number 8 in the country. You're playing hour and a half from their home campus, so they're going to have fans there. I don't know that they had any more fans than Arkansas did, but I just did not feel like that was the bad loss that everybody was trying to label it to be. And, I made a comment on Twitter earlier today that after kind of sitting back and thinking about it, it's November. This is a team of guys that were thrown together. They're still figuring each other out. I would probably be concerned if they weren't struggling a little bit, because that means that they're probably playing the best that they're going to play. And you want struggles early in the year. Okay, this is not Cal's team with Anthony Davis and all those guys that just steamrolled everybody on their way to the Final Four. You're going to have some early season struggles. I expect them to struggle a little bit Monday night when they play Pacific. But then when we come up and we play Illinois on Thanksgiving Day in a couple weeks, I expect them to play up to the level of competition, because Illinois will be a tough battle. I just think we're going to see, Cal has said we're going to see a roller coaster. We're going to see up and down. We're going to see struggles. We're going to see bumps in the road. Look, figure it out by conference play, fine-tune from there, and March is what it's all about. I will gladly sacrifice a couple of bad losses before the new year, and even a couple of bad conference losses. I'll gladly trade that for a deep run in March. And I'm not talking about, national championship. You make an Elite 8 run, I'll take that. Year 1, absolutely I would take it.
Yeah, Loki kind of summarizes everything you just said there. Remember, we're a new squad learning to play as a team against actual competition. Better to stumble early than fall in March.
Absolutely.
As long as we aren't being spotlight hogs, see what I did there? Playing to the level of our competition, trying to shoot threes like we are the Warriors or caught up in high school drama, I have faith. I got to agree with Loki there.
Yeah.
It's like I said on another show I was watching after the game last night. At the end of the day, the number next to our name was bigger than the number next to their name. Watch film, learn from it, move on.
Yeah.
We won.
Yeah.
Well, you summed it up real well with that Nolan quote, and I'll let you throw that one out there, but that's spot on for this situation.
Yeah, if you missed the beginning of the show, we touched a little bit on this game right off the top, and I brought out the old Nolan Richardson famous quote of a ragged ride is always better than a smooth walk. And I stick by that. And something else that we've not talked about yet in regards to how this team is going to improve. I think we all have a little bit of PTSD from the way last year went, because, you open up, you beat Purdue in the exhibition game, you go to the ACC SEC Challenge, you get Duke to come into Bud Walton Arena, you beat them, and then after that game, man, the wheels kind of fall off. And looking back on it now, I think it's safe to say Musselman checked out. He was looking for a way to get back west, and when things did not come together quite like he expected, I think he checked out. I don't think he had done that in previous years. I think he kept fighting and kept battling, almost to the point that maybe he had kind of overcooked himself, and that's why he checked out when he did last year. But the difference is, now you've got a guy that's going to come in. He's not going to check out. If anything, he's going to go the opposite way, because I feel like he's coming in here with a point to prove that he's not washed. He's not over the hill. He's not, the game has not passed him by like what is being claimed by the crazy stalker ex-girlfriends from that good bourbon state.
I'm surprised we don't have any of them in our comments.
They were, oh dude, they were ready to hang a banner last night at halftime of the Troy game. I've started utilizing the block button a little more in my Twitter because I have too many of them popping up in my feed. But look, I still feel like this is going to be a really good team. I think they're going to make a lot of noise in the SEC. Can they win it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Auburn's looking pretty stinking good right now. They're looking good. Tennessee looks pretty good. Bama's a little iffy with me right now. I think the talent. Yeah, and if you want to watch some Sunbelt ball, don't overlook that A-State team, man, because they are loaded, and those guys are playing like men on a mission right now. But A-State took them right down to the wire. I think it was tied up or a 2-3 point game with about inside of the last media timeout. Gave them all they wanted, and then Bama struggled. I think it was last night they had a home game and they struggled against. It was another Sunbelt caliber team, lower tier
I
G5.
think they ended up pulling away at the end, but I think they struggled in the first half.
Yeah, I was looking at the score from the first half, and it was a 6 or 8 point game. Who was it they ended up beating last night? Let me pull that up here real quick, because it was somebody. It was one of those G5 teams that you see pop up in the tournament every now and then, or maybe it was Tuesday night that I was looking at it. Well, I can't find it now, but they ended up pulling away late, and ended up with the win. But it was a bit of a struggle for them to get that win. Oh, McNeese is who it was. They beat McNeese on Monday night, 72-64. So 8 point win, which I think they ended up beating A-State by 8 or 10. So, right now they're doing just enough to win. But to me, the most impressive team in the SEC right now has got to be Auburn. To beat Houston the way they did the other night, and especially after coming with all that drama with the plane having to turn around because they had dudes fighting on the plane. It reminded me of the old story of the WWE Flight from Hell. It kind of had that feel to it. And I'll give Kentucky some respect here. That was a big win they got over Duke. Kudos to them for being able to pull it off. I felt like when the big man for Duke got hurt, number 9, the guy from the Sudan, I'm not even going to try to say his name because I'll butcher it, but he was a rim protector, and when he got hurt and went out of the game, Kentucky switched their game plan up and started utilizing the post area more and took advantage of it. And then, it's really – I felt like Cooper Flagg for Duke got put in a really bad situation, because when you get down to clutch time at the end of a game and you put the ball in the hands of a guy that should technically still be playing senior high basketball, man, that's a lot to ask of him. That is, as good as he was, he had a tremendous game. 26, 12, and 4, I think was his stat line, something like that. That's a heck of a game, but all anybody's going to remember are those last 2 possessions where he had 2 turnovers. But and it's not fair to him because he had played excellent up to that point. Kentucky come out of the gate in that game, hit 5 of their first 6 3-pointers, and I'm sitting here thinking, wow, okay, these dudes can go. And then reality set in, and the adrenaline wore off, and they started missing those shots. And the familiar face that we know here at Arkansas, Jackson Robinson, he has a tendency where he's been at other schools. When he was at BYU and also the short stint he had at Texas A&M, he handled himself really well against lower tier competition, but when the competition got to the elite level, he would disappear. That's what happened in this game. He did not have a good game. The Kerr kid had a good game. They had 2 or 3 others that played pretty well. I didn't know Lamont Butler, the point guard from San Diego State from a couple years ago. I had forgotten about him transferring into Kentucky. To me, that might have been one of the steals of the portal. Outside of, at the time, John L. Davis was a big get, but have yet to see him find his form. Lamont Butler is a good point guard for that Kentucky team, but I've wasted enough time talking Kentucky. I gave them their due. They beat Duke. I still think they're going to struggle when we get into SEC play because I don't feel like they're going to be able to keep up with Alabama and Auburn for sure. And, of course, we all know what happens on February 1st. Cal goes back to Rupp Arena, and we'll see what happens. I think you're going to see a completely different Arkansas team by that point in the year than what you're seeing right now.
What I'll give Kentucky there, MC, is it's a whole new team just like us, but it's an older team than we are. That they don't have a lot of freshmen on that team. They have a lot of 3rd, 4th-year players.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit easier for them to gel. We're throwing some freshmen in with some experienced players. By the way, Arkansas women's basketball, 93, UT Arlington, 65.
Well, it sounds like they found their groove, so that's good.
Much better than that showing in Little Rock.
Good for Mike Neighbors. I'm glad that they were able to kind of find something there and take care of business tonight. They needed a blowout win just about as much as anybody. I would like to see the men come out and do that to Pacific on Monday night. We'll see if it happens, but good for Neighbors and Izzy and the rest of the ladies.
Unfortunately, they're going to be on the opposite end of that score this weekend.
Where are they headed this weekend?
UCLA.
Ooh, yeah, it may be a long trip.
Yeah, and they are headed west. I think Phil said on his radio show they're leaving at like 7:00 tomorrow. Try to get the jet lag out of the way a little bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that 2-hour time
rough
zone
trip for them.
That'll mess with you, for sure. So
look what it did to Baylor.
Yeah. I mean, Baylor, look at them, man. They go out to Gonzaga, get absolutely housed. I mean, they got embarrassed. They got beat by almost 40. And, we didn't talk much about the Baylor game, but I knew they would come into that game locked in, ready to have a good performance after the way that they got embarrassed out at Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga's good. I think Baylor made them look a little bit better than they actually are. Khalif Battle, forgot he was at Gonzaga. I knew he'd hit the portal, but I forgot that he went there. I hope he has a good year out there. I hope going to play under Mark Few in Gonzaga's system. I think he's a good fit for their system. But I feel like at times he had some maturity problems here. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but sometimes the truth hurts. If he goes out there and grows up, I mean, he has an opportunity to really have a good year. He's, Gonzaga's in a pretty weak conference, so they'll be a tournament team, just like they always are, and then we'll see what happens from there.
What I'll say about the maturity, and I'll respect the Muss, because without Muss, we don't have Cal.
100%.
But it's a reflection of the leadership he had.
Yeah.
Muss was known to be immature and look at me a lot of times, and I think that rubbed off on that team a lot last year too.
Yeah, I think we saw – I feel like that team last year, we just kind of saw the worst of everybody. And, some of the guys that left, I don't have any ill will towards them. Like Devo being over at Oklahoma State now. I hope he goes over there and balls out unless we match up with Oklahoma State. And then, I want him to have the worst game of his career. But other than that –
a typical Devo game.
Yeah. I wish those guys the best. And I don't really have any ill will towards Muss. I've heard some fans say that, they're kind of holding a grudge against him. I'm like, I try to take the whole thing into consideration because, like you said, if Muss doesn't come here and has the success that he had, take last year out of the equation, the success he had prior to that, there's no way Cal takes this job when it comes open, and we're stuck with Chris Jans or Darrell Walker or, some other subpar.
The guy from Kansas State they were talking
Oh, yeah,
about.
Jerome Tang. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about going from Tang, Chris Jans, and Darrell Walker to the winningest coach in college basketball. And look, this guy hasn't forgotten how to coach. We're going to be fine. Just, it's a trust me, bro moment, but I think everything is going to be fine with this team. If you get to me, I feel like this year, if you can get to the second weekend with the way this team was thrown together, I think you take that as a successful run to make the Sweet 16 this year.
Absolutely. Sweet 16 is successful season. I really want to see an Elite Eight, but I'm not going to scream burn it all down like I am with football. If we only make the Sweet 16.
Yeah. And to get into honestly, if we can get beyond the first round, which has kind of been his Achilles heel the last 5 or 6 years at the place he was at prior, if we get beyond that, the meltdown to watch among that fan base alone is going to be worth every penny, because they've got some receipts coming. They don't realize it yet, and they're feeling their oats right now because they beat Duke. But there's receipts coming, and hopefully they come in February, and then again when we get to March.
Well, MC, I think that's going to about wrap us up on basketball, unless you got anything else.
No, that's about it, man. Pacific Monday night, and then I haven't looked beyond that. I'm sticking with the one game at a time mindset right now. So just get Pacific. That's the next one in front of you. Biggest thing is we got to continue to get guys healthy.
I think it's Pacific Monday night and Little Rock next Friday night.
I think that's right, yeah.
With that, jump into a quick soccer update. Lady Razorbacks got a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. They take on Oklahoma State tomorrow night at Razorback Field. That game will be at 6:30 p.m. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be an ESPN Plus only game, so I'll have to follow another way. I was hoping it would be an SEC Plus game.
Yeah.
But we ended the season 14-2-2. Oklahoma State 14-4-3. From everything I've seen, we match up pretty good. Hopefully, we will snag a first-round win, and that will set us up to play. We'll play the winner of Cal and Pepperdine. So, good thing about the NCAA tournament in soccer is we're a high enough seed that we got some home games, which will help us out quite a bit.
That can make a difference in the postseason.
But that'll wrap it up on soccer. So let's jump into these SEC pick'em for the week.
All right.
We both picked Texas over Arkansas. There's really just not a lot going on in the SEC this week, so I think a lot of these we're going to pick pretty much the same. Next game on the slate Saturday, you've got Louisiana Monroe heading over to the Plains to play Auburn. Auburn is a 25.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I think the Fighting Hugh Freezes get one.
They get some quarterback work in.
Yeah.
Heck, we might even see Walker Wright in that game.
Yeah, I was about to go there because now we're to the point to where he can play in still redshirt, so wouldn't surprise me to see Walker White get a few snaps.
But, yeah, I just realized looking at Auburn's record, they are not technically eliminated from bowl contention yet, but I don't see them beating Bama.
Yeah, starts out you still got that Iron Bowl coming, so
Hugh Freeze's seat might be a little warm after this season.
Patience is not something they have a lot of at Auburn, and good Lord, they paid Gus, what was it, something like $80 million just to go away. So if they want him out bad enough, they'll call the yellow fellow with the lumber company, and he'll find a way to make it happen.
Next game on the slate, we got Murray State heading to Kroger Field to take on the Kentucky Wildcats, who are also 3-6 right now.
Yeah, Stoops is another one that may have a bit of a hot seat too. Yeah, Kentucky will win this one. This is very similar to me to the Auburn ULM game.
They don't even have a line listed. That one. That's how Murray State's 1-9 on the year, by the way. So
Ouch.
yeah,
Wow,
it's an SEC plus game.
Yeah, as it should be.
This is a horrible weekend, and I get you got to play lesser talent, but let's not do it in November.
Yeah.
Next game on the schedule, Mercer goes to Alabama, which Mercer is 9-1.
Yeah,
but it's Alabama.
Wow, this is really an awful weekend of games. Jeez.
So we're both picking Bama there, obviously.
Yeah.
The next one could have been a good game, but it is number 22 LSU heading to the Swamp to take on the Gators. ESPN's got the spread at 3.5 in favor of LSU. I don't see that. Yeah, they play bad against Bama, but Florida's on a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, Florida. If Florida had one of their top two guys at quarterback, I might could see that. But I think LSU is. They got embarrassed last Saturday night at home. I think they go to Florida to make a point. I'll take the Tigers.
The next game is one of the two decent games in the SEC this week. Number 23, Missouri, heads to the other Columbia, take on the Gamecocks.
The battle for Columbia.
And,
yeah.
14-point spread in favor of South Carolina.
And yeah, with Brady Cook being doubtful, that sounds about right. I think Beamer gets another feather in his cap here, and much to Dorkowitz's dismay, he can stop talking about playoffs after this one.
Yeah, I just crazier things have happened, but I don't see with Drew Pine under center. I don't see any way of Mizzou pulling that off. I'm just hoping Drew Pine's still the quarterback when we go to Como.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And then your national game of the week, 6:30 p.m. on ABC. Number 7, Tennessee heads down to Athens to take on number 12, Georgia.
Between the hedges. Yeah, that didn't you say Nico is out for Tennessee or questionable?
Nico is doubtful.
Doubtful,
I think is what it said on the availability report.
No Nico, no Rocky Top. I'll take Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's down a couple running backs, but after what happened to Georgia in the SIP,
yeah,
nobody wants to play Georgia this weekend, especially in Athens.
Yeah, Athens will still be a buzzsaw. There's no love lost between those two teams anyway, so I think it may be a long night for Rocky Top.
Just to give you an idea on what Vegas thinks, ESPN's got the spread Georgia 9.5.
Yeah, sounds about right. 38-28 kind of deal. I could see that.
And then final game of the night, New Mexico State, without Diego Pavia, heads to Kyle Field to take on the Texas A&M Aggies. A&M is a 39-point favorite.
Yeah, and they'll probably cover.
New Mexico State is not the New Mexico State that went and upset Auburn last year.
No.
A&M big in that one.
So does A&M put more points on New Mexico than Texas puts on us? I think
That's
it's tight.
That's a good point. They're going to be trying to. They're going to be trying to make a statement there.
Yeah.
I think Sark's just a little more soured, and I think Texas puts more on us.
I think
A&M will call the dogs off at halftime and try to protect themselves for that big matchup in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it would not surprise me to see Sark put 70 on the board. He's got a point to prove.
And then this week, we talked about it before the show, MC. We're going to do something a little different for our wild card.
Yeah, we're going outside the box a little bit.
And fans getting the Cam Productions live fan feedback on this. We want to know what y'all say too. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on Netflix, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I realize it's Jake Paul, but 58-year-old Mike Tyson getting back in the ring, man. There's just something that's kind of cool about the fact that you get Iron Mike back in the ring. I'm hoping to see some vintage Mike Tyson and a first round knockout is really what I'm hoping for.
Oh yeah, give me Iron Mike. Like we talked about before the show, my only concern is that Jake can avoid that stiff right for a few rounds, and that age catches up with Mike. But if Mike makes any kind of contact early on, they're doing 2-minute rounds, 14-ounce gloves. It's a little different.
Yeah.
Mike did slap Jake upside the head in weigh-ins today, so that was interesting. And Jake talked a lot of noise in his interview after, which I don't think he understands what he is up against, because he's much younger than I am, and
yeah,
the end of Mike Tyson's reign was in my younger years. I don't think he understands what he's getting into.
Listen, I grew up in the vintage of Mike Tyson. I mean, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was one of the first video games I owned at home, and Mike is a legit stone cold killer. I don't care if he's 28 or 58. Those kind of leopards don't change their spots. I agree with you. If he gets some early connection and gets that stiff right and that killer combo that he has, to steal from Steph Curry, it might be naughty night for Jake Paul. And I think there's a lot of people that want to see Jake Paul get shut up.
Yes. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a huge payday for both of them, and that's all they're really worried about.
Yeah. I mean, no matter who gets the W, gets their hand raised, they're both going to win with the amount of money that they're pulling in off this fight. So I'm just going to try to sit back and enjoy it and hope that they don't. I hope that it does not turn into one of these deals where there's a little bit of a flurry at the beginning of the fight and maybe the beginning of the second round, and then for the rest of the rounds they just kind of either Jake is running from him or they just hug it out the whole time and run it out the distance. I do not want to see that by any means.
I don't think Mike will let that happen. I think Mike will knock himself out trying to go after Jake before he lets it turn into a slow dance.
Yeah, Mike, and let's not forget now, Mike's not the most stable person either. So I
like
that's the wild card. Yeah,
I like that comment he made. My kids are going to see a side of me that they didn't know existed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a fun one to watch. But hopefully Mike gives all of us Gen Xers that grew up with him one more moment to just look at him and go, damn. So that's what I'm hoping to see.
All right, MC, we're going to go ahead and take one final break, pay some bills, and when we come back, everybody's favorite, Hog Tua. We'll be back right after this.
Mix Design is your one-stop shop for custom clothing with a personal touch. At Mix Design, we can help you tell your story through your wardrobe. Your imagination on a hat, shirt, pullover, or nearly anything wearable. And while you're picking out some custom clothing, check out the one-of-a-kind handmade soaps from the Bobcat Soap Company. Find us on Facebook and let us create custom swag just for you at Mix Design.
Hey, Hog fanatics! We at Inside the Hawg Pen are thrilled to announce that SeatGeek is now a sponsor. As brand ambassadors, we're excited to share that SeatGeek is a ticket app that simplifies the ticket buying process for all your favorite events. They provide a 0 to 10 score for each ticket, with green indicating a good deal and red indicating a not so good deal. As a special offer, Hog fanatics can get $20 off their first ticket purchase by using the code INSIDEHOGPEN. Check out our socials for the link, and remember to use the code Inside Hawg Pen.
Yeah!
It's time to step back inside the Hawg Pen to the Meeks Design Studios.
You just got to spit on that thing. So
I know you did not just, oh my God.
It's time to haul to it, y'all.
All right, here we go.
MC.
Everybody's favorite segment of the show, the fastest growing segment on Inside the Hawg Pen, Hog Tua. Let's get it rolling, Jesse.
We got sponsor in the house, Mr. James Harris. Good evening, gentlemen, from Harris Made Chef Service and Seven Oaks Steak and Seafood.
Yeah, Harris Made Chef Services, proud sponsor of our pregame tailgate show. Be on the air Saturday morning, I'd say probably around 10 o'clock with an 11 a.m.
Sounds good to
kickoff.
me.
So we'll be promoting him quite a bit this weekend on the tailgate show. Appreciate you stopping by.
We got royalty in the house,
Hey.
Miss Casey Sutton. Hi, fellas. Zach, hope you get to feeling better.
Appreciate that, Casey. Glad to see you in the house tonight.
We got Eric Jernigan.
Yeah.
Hang it up, Marcus. Positives will be few and far between this weekend.
Man, I was trying to find positives, but I think he's right, man. Unfortunately, I'm afraid they're few and far between.
Next up, we got more royalty in the house.
The other
Mama
half
Linda.
of the royal family.
Hi, guys. So disappointed with this team and the coaches. Really expected more than what we're seeing.
I can't argue that.
Yeah, really not much to say.
Yeah, she's pretty spot on.
Jalen Braxton will look good in a UNLV uniform, though.
yeah. I had Mason Chode or one of those guys on Twitter had put something in there about the availability report and Jalen Braxton. About looks like he's out again, and I went and grabbed a GIF from I can't remember the movie now, but it just had the caption on it of he's not coming back.
Yeah, if he was coming back, he would have been back.
Yeah, I agree.
They're just trying to keep that under wraps. So Arkansas has fell victim to I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah,
I'm redshirting and going somewhere else.
Yep.
Loki. So are we supposed to hang it up on the horns? Loki, those fingers are pointing the wrong way, sir.
Yeah, they are definitely your emoji got pushed in the wrong direction.
And then we got to talking about Notre Dame, and Loki brings up one of the greatest movies of all time. Did you say Notre Dame? Rudy.
And never forget Rudy was offsides.
I need to rewatch that movie. I hadn't watched that movie in about 10 years.
And it's a good one. I mean, it is.
It's a good movie.
Despite it being about Notre Dame, it's a good movie.
Loki also says that you need a shirt for.
In addition to the intro, yeah.
I'm sure
just
Baxter
one thing at a
can
time.
come up with something wild for that one.
Yeah.
Still on Notre Dame topic, Garrett Ray. Glad to see you back, Garrett.
Yeah.
Notre Dame needs to be ACC in football for a chance to be ACC champion.
I can't argue that, man. They're in the ACC.
Have a good shot at it this year.
Yeah. The ACC is up for grabs. I mean, it's right there. And the only reason that they're not in a conference is because they don't want to share all the TV money that they have right now with their NBC Peacock deal. That's it.
They've got an exclusive, and they're making more money than SEC teams, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. It's insane.
And we got Matt Berry. If you say Kentucky one more
dude.
time, you get the bar of soap to the mouth.
That's my dude, Matt Berry, right there, man. That's a longtime friend of mine, high school friend of mine. He is also known as the Cookie Man. There's a long story behind that, but he's also known as Cookie Man.
Eric Jernigan, I hope we continue to live rent-free in Kentucky heads for years to come.
Yep. As long as Cal wins, they're going to be the jilted ex-girlfriend.
This season, I mean, that's going to be, I don't know, is that a night game on February 1st?
8 o'clock.
So that is going to be ESPN's prime time. I wouldn't
gotta
be
figure
surprised
game
if
day will
they
be there,
found a
too.
way to put that on ABC.
Yeah. Well, and you got to figure the college game day for hoops will be there that day.
Unless one of us completely falls apart between now and February.
Yeah.
I think even if one of us falls apart, they will still find a way to be there.
Well, I mean, look at this. I mean, as bad as we were last year, we still had college game day come to Bud Walton last year. So
that was for the Kentucky game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was.
And then we got Loki. Auburn beating Houston was an eye-opener. I was ready to put money on Houston, and I almost did, and I'm like, no, I better not, because of the strife amongst the Auburn team. I seen the videos of the one guy being a sore loser, even though Auburn was up by like 40 in that game because his teammate got hot and he didn't get to shoot.
Yeah.
Then I found out he was one of them involved in the fight, and I said, okay, this isn't a team problem. Yeah. This is a player problem.
Did you see, and I thought this was hilarious, the celebration on the court after Auburn beat Houston? Did you see what their players were doing? They were running around the court like this. Which I thought that was a beautiful troll. I'm not an Auburn fan by any means, but that was great.
I'm not a big Auburn fan, but I respect Bruce Pearl.
I like Bruce Pearl. I don't like Auburn, for multiple reasons, but I do like Bruce Pearl.
And we got Loki. This can apply for. This was about the Lady Hogs going to UCLA, but could also apply to the Arkansas Texas football game. Yeah, that is going to get bowling shoe ugly.
Well, and that for as far as SEC games go this weekend, that could be a theme across the board with those terrible matchups.
Absolutely. And then our last one of the night, Loki. I hope soccer does what football couldn't. I hope soccer just has a strong showing. They had a first round exit last year after having a really good team and a solid season.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have any stupid mistakes and score on ourselves like we did against Texas in the SEC tournament. Just play like they've played 95% of the season, and I think we'll be good to make at least a deep tournament run.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. I don't claim to be a soccer fan by any means, but when it comes down to postseason play, you basically reset your record. You go back to 0-0, and you've got to try to put together some wins. And if you get a couple in a row, who knows what can happen? I mean, crazy things happen in the postseason in every single sport.
Look at Ole Miss in 22.
There you go. Yeah, last team in to the NCAA tournament in baseball in 22, and then they end up being the last team standing.
They were about to fire their coach.
Yeah.
And then he won a national title and said, "Fire me now, mic drop."
Yeah. And the only reason they got in is because they had a game canceled in the final week of the regular season. You remember who it was?
How that happened.
You remember who it was that canceled?
I do not.
It was Arkansas State. They canceled the game with Arkansas State because even if they won that game, their RPI was going to take a bigger hit than not playing at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
More reason to hate Ole Miss.
There you go.
I think
and on that note,
I think to get right down to it, which I'm going to leave it up for you to plug what we got going in the oven right now. But Ole Miss has got to be our biggest actual rival right now when you look at all the sports and the win-loss record.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be Ole Miss.
Yeah, I have long term said that they are a true rival of the sense because there's a lot of similarities between the athletic programs. And what we're getting to here is that we've got some pod exclusives coming up. We're going to do rivalries with Arkansas for every sport. We've got one on the board right now that we're working on for football. We're going to do one that surrounds basketball because Arkansas, Kentucky, even long before Cal made the switch to the light from the dark, there was a rivalry there from the time Arkansas entered the SEC, and actually it even goes back a little further than that. But
because someone said he was going to crawl to Lexington.
Yeah, you go back to about 1985 or so, and Arkansas
before my time.
Said he was going to crawl. He would have crawled to Kentucky to take that job, and that did not sit well with Arkansas fans for a long time. But we've got a pod coming up. We got a two-parter on the history of the Texas rivalry coming up, and then we're going to do rivals on our panel, who we feel like the rival is in every sport. So if y'all have feelings on that of who you think our rival is in basketball, baseball, football, go to our Facebook page or hit us up on Twitter and let us know who you think. Ole Miss is a big one for baseball for me. That's always a big one for baseball. Basketball maybe not so much, but in football there's a lot of similarities there that I think you could make a strong case, and there's a strong history in that series going all the way back to Archie Manning and the '69 Arkansas team that lost the big shootout to Texas. I mean, there's a lot there. So we've got a lot of pod exclusives coming up that we're working on. As Jesse said, we've got them in the oven right now. They're just not quite done baking. But be watching for those, and of course you can check out pregame, postgame. We'll have those uploaded as podcasts shortly after we finish the live shows. Speaking of, Saturday morning, 10 a.m., Harris Made Chef Services pregame tailgate show be on the air. We'll go a good 30, 45 minutes, and then let you get, I guess it'd be brunch about that point, and get ready to watch the ball game on Saturday morning. And then about 30 minutes after the final whistle, we'll be back for the Allen Kerr Advisors 5th quarter show. And, I don't know what to expect with that one, but we can all sit around and have a good cry and have our morning session, and we can all kind of talk through it. But I think that's just about going to put a wrap on things for tonight. Jesse, you got any final thought?
One more reason I hate Ole Miss, I want their AD at Arkansas, but he'll never come.
Keith Carter's doing a phenomenal job. Yeah. He's a native Arkansan, and I think that adds to it as well. But we can get into that too, because that's part of the rivalry. I mean, he has an axe to grind against Arkansas, and if you're not familiar with it, stay tuned for that pod, because there's a story that goes along with it and why Keith Carter hates Arkansas so much. So that'll be coming up shortly. My final thought tonight, man. Honestly, man, I'm over football. It's basketball season. I have to work really hard to find any enthusiasm. Probably not going to get 6 this week. You just got to figure you're going to get the 6 against Louisiana Tech. And then, for the love of God, can we just please go to Columbia and beat Missouri? You get to 7 wins this year. I can't complain about that, because I said we would go 4-8. So you can find a way to get to 7 before the bowl game, then you take that and run with it. So
yeah, and the way Mizzou's playing, that's another thing about this game Saturday. I want to see how we get out there, how we react, how we perform, because that'll give us a good gauge if we've really got a chance in Como or not.
Yeah, 100%. So,
but
well,
that's
all right.
all I got for tonight, MC. Let's call
Well, I
it
appreciate everybody stopping by and being a part of the show, being part of Hog Tua. For Jesse the Beard Thurman, this is your boy MC. Zach will be back next week with us, so y'all be sure and come back next Thursday night. But until then, so long, everybody.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside the Hawg Pen. Listen anytime on your favorite podcast provider, and be sure to follow us on all our social network channels.